Good morning, good afternoon, good night, wherever you are. Just know that I'm saying hello. How are you guys doing? I hope that you all are doing well, and I also hope that you guys have had a very restful weekend. So today's video, as you can see, is going to be about my walk with my faith journey and how it has been tried, or how it has been affected, or how it's been better now that I am married and trying to conceive. Now, I thought about this topic because one of my lovely subscribers asked me a few questions under my last video, which I did ask you guys to do, and I am still going to do a whole question and answer video. But the questions that she asked me kind of stuck out, and I really wanted to answer them in a whole separate video because a lot can go into the answer. I'm going to be taking about 3 questions from her whole comment and answering them in this video. Okay, so one of the questions that she asked was, what are some things you do to help when your journey to motherhood feels long, difficult, and has you feeling down? And the main question that she asked me that really stuck out and made me want to make this video was ways you've seen God use your struggles for good. I said, man, that is a good question, right? And at first, I was talking to my husband about the question, and I was like, I really don't want to answer that. Like, when I first saw the question, I was in a headspace of, I really don't want to answer that because I'm afraid of my answer. I'm afraid of how my answer may seem or how it may come off. But the more I thought about it, the more I was like, that's the main reason why I need to answer it. Because I feel as a young Christian, we go through these type of feelings, and I feel like not even young, but I feel like every Christian kind of has trials or tribulations that make them feel a certain way. So I'm gonna start off with that question, ways you've seen God use your struggles for good, and I'm gonna elaborate and then we can go from there. Okay. So, ways you've seen God use your struggles for good. So, just to give a little background, I am a church kid. I've been in church all my life. So, I know enough. I know what it is to serve God. I know what it is to have a relationship with God. But of course, as a kid, my relationship with God was based off of my mom's relationship with God, or based off of, you know, my family's relationship with God. And, you know, I would rely on my mother's prayers for me. I would rely on my family's prayers for me without even making that personal relationship with God for myself. So I did not start making a personal relationship with God until I was a young adult. But I had the core background, is what I'm trying to say. And I always knew, once I started building my relationship with God, that I was going to kind of have like a young women's ministry, kind of. And in a way, I feel like my YouTube channel is my young women's ministry, as far as like young wives, you know, women who are trying to conceive and things of that nature. So I always knew that I would minister to young women somehow, some way, right? I did not, back then, it seemed like this perfect thing, right? But I did not know what it was going to take for me to be able to help young women, and you know, it doesn't have to be young women, even women, period. I didn't know that I was going to have struggles, you know, and I feel like a lot of Christians want to be used by God, but they don't want to go through the fire, is what they say in church. You don't want to go through the fire. And I did not. And sometimes I still don't want to go through the fire. So that's why the question, ways you've seen God use your struggles for good, kind of triggered me, because I deal with the fact that some days I don't want to have struggles. You know, some days I wish that trying to conceive was not a struggle for me. So some days I don't even want to be doing this, honestly. Some days I don't want to be doing this. Some days I wish that I was on the other side. Many days I wish that I was on the other side. You know, talking to my husband, I say it all the time. I really don't want to be doing this, but I know that I have to. So I know that God is using my struggles for good, because I'm doing this. You know, I'm able to answer questions that women have. I'm able to unlock some conversations that weren't even being had in a family, about fibroids or about, you know, infertility. A lot of women don't even know that they have fibroids until it's too late, or until they have them. But I'm given things like symptoms and things that you should look for. And you know, a woman may just come across my video and see that she may have the same symptoms, or she may have the same things going on. So I truly see how God has used my struggles to help other women. And this is what I've prayed for. This is what I knew that I was going to end up doing. It was almost like once I finally started making my own connection with God and my own relationship with God, I knew from then that I was going to have to help young women. I just did not want to go through the fire. And like I said before, some days I still don't want to go through the fire. But I know that I have to, because I'm helping you all. And through helping you guys, that helps me in a way. So that is my answer to that. Is it easy allowing God to use my struggles for good? It's not always easy. You know, it's not always peaches and cream. I cannot stress enough that it's hard for me having to deal with something like this at such a young age. And once I got married, that was one of the 2 prayers that I had really had, was for me to get married and for us to almost immediately have a child. And for this to be my struggle, it was like, dang. All I can say is dang. But it's not an easy thing. It's not an easy journey. It's not something that I want to go through. It's not. It's not. But I know that this has increased my faith. It's increased my husband's faith, because it was almost like as soon as we got married, God just, you know, put things all in order for us. It was so crazy. Hopefully one day I'll be able to have my husband on my channel and kind of explain the things that has happened that we know God has done for us. So even though I have those days where I feel like, why am I going through this? And I have those days, honestly, I have those days more than I have good days. And it just is what it is. This is the fire. You know, you have to go through the fire to get to the other side. So I have those days where I feel like, why am I going through this more than anything? But I know that in the end it's going to be worth it. So the next question is, what are some things you do to help when your journey to motherhood feels long, difficult, and has you feeling down? This is another one that kind of shook me to the core, because I'm like, at the time that I posted the video and got the questions, I was really not in a good headspace. I was really struggling, and a lot of people don't know that besides my family, well, really most of my family don't even know this, but I started to experience depression due to struggling to conceive, just struggling being a new wife and having to adjust my life so drastically, because I had never lived away from home. I've never lived with a man, so it was a big adjustment, and before I knew it, I had fell into depression. For the first time ever in my life, I was depressed. And honestly, it's been a ongoing battle. It's been an ongoing journey. And the day that I got that question, I was like, dang, some of these questions I really am not gonna want to answer, because I want to, even though I go through and I struggle, I always like to give out positivity. I always like to give out encouraging words. And at the time, I just didn't feel like what I would have to say would be encouraging, even though every woman in this TTC journey goes through a period of, you know, sadness or disappointment. And I am positive that's why I got the question. So some things that I do to help with my journey is I always try to express the way that I'm feeling now. And I wish I knew that like 2 years ago. It will probably help with what I was feeling at the time and the sadness that I was feeling, but I never knew how to truly express myself, express the way I was feeling, so that I did not feel alone or I did not feel sadness, because a lot of times people don't realize talking things out really does help. And I feel that a lot of times, well, I know that a lot of times I found myself upset with my husband because he wouldn't understand. But my husband couldn't understand if I was not expressing myself. So always have someone that you can talk your feelings out with, and I'm telling you, that will help. Another thing that would help is journaling. I know that I've said this before, but journaling really has helped me as well. I don't do it as often as I should, but journaling really helps, because that is a way to track what's going on. That is a way to not only track, like, you know, what's going on in your body or whatnot, but track your emotions and how you're feeling and what you're thinking at the time, and just getting those thoughts down on paper. I'm telling you, it helps with how long the journey is feeling, as well as just finding someone that may be going through the same thing, that, you know, can encourage you and you can encourage them, because it is hard. It is a very long and hard journey. Like I said before, I do wish that I was on the other side of this. I am so ready to be holding my child. I know that it's nothing that I can do to make it happen faster. I literally have to wait. So just finding things like encouraging people, journaling, and being able to talk and express your feelings, I feel would help a lot. I think one thing that is starting to really help me understand this season is knowing that this is built to build my faith and not damage me as a person. A lot of times when I first started, and I'll be honest, still some days now, I feel like not being able to conceive right away and having to have surgery and being told things like, oh, you had a chemical pregnancy, and not knowing what the heck is going on. Some days I would look at that as almost like a curse. Like, why am I having to go through this? But once you get out of the headspace, and this is for me too, once you get out of the headspace of thinking that it was something to destroy you or something to break you down, and look at it as something that's building your character and building your faith, then you will be okay, and I will be okay. And before we know it, the journey to motherhood will be over, and we will be experiencing motherhood. Now, whether that is a year from now, whether that is 6 months from now, whether that is 2 years from now, it's all up to God, because we have no other choice but to sit and wait. There's nothing else that we can do about it but to just sit and wait. So I hope that was encouraging. Like I always say, you guys can always leave questions, comments, concerns under my video in the comment box, and as well my personal information as far as like Instagram and stuff like that is in the description box, so you guys can always follow me there and message me if you want. And as always, y'all be blessed.